Hi, everyone, and welcome to God's Plan, Your Part, a podcast where our goal is to read the entire Bible in a year, seeking to understand God's plan of redemption while discovering daily and practically your part in it.
Hey guys, welcome to God's Plan, Your Part. Today, you will be with me, Jenny, as we look through chapters 35, 36, and 37 of Jeremiah. So what's so interesting today is we kind of run into this moment that I think a lot of us often do, where you are just in complete denial of something that you are resisting so hard. So we're going to see how this kind of plays out today with the people of Judah, the king of Judah, and the word of the Lord that is brought from Jeremiah. So we start off the chapters today in chapter 35 with this really interesting comparison. So Jeremiah is told by the Lord to take this group of sojourning people called the Rechabites into the house of the Lord and offer them wine to drink. Okay, and so this seems like a really odd request. So he takes this group of people into the house of the Lord, offers them wine to drink in the chambers, and they look at him, they're like, hey, I'm sorry, like, we can't do that. And Jeremiah's like, he's asking them why they can't do this, and they said, well, like, we've been commanded by Jonadab, the son of Rechab, to neither drink wine, or for any of our daughters, our sons to drink wine forever. We're not actually allowed to build a house. We're not allowed to sow seed. We can't plant vineyards. And we need to live in tents all the days of our lives. So there's like these really hard-nosed, like super specific things that this group of sojourning people are not allowed to do because of the words of Jonadab. And so what's interesting about this is that Jeremiah is like putting together these pieces that these people will not take wine, and they will continue to follow these specific rules for their lives. But the people of Israel are still refusing to listen to the word of the Lord that is being brought through Jeremiah. So there's this like stark contrast of how the people of Israel are just so, like, the Bible continues to call them stiff-necked and not listening. Whereas these people, these Rechabites, have kept the command of Jonadab all their lives and continue to do so. Something that seems just kind of so commonplace, like, well, we're just not drinking wine and we have to live in tents for our whole lives. Whereas the people of Israel are just so careless and so willing to follow after any other god, and their basic command was to love God only and put nothing else in his place. So really interesting comparison. And then we move into chapter 36 today. And this is kind of what I was alluding to a little bit at the beginning of this episode, because I was talking about, have you ever been in denial so much of something that you just don't want, that you hear like super basic and logical things that you just completely disregard it and completely put it out of your mind? Well, this is exactly what's happening in chapter 36 today. So Jehoiakim, this is Josiah's son, which is also just a crazy thing. We think back to Josiah, who was this much better king that we have seen throughout the kings of Israel and of Judah. Jehoiakim, he is in Judah, and the word of the Lord comes to Jeremiah. And Jeremiah and his buddy Baruch. So this is kind of a cool friendship that we're seeing that is unique for Jeremiah. Jeremiah, I always think of like this sad, kind of pathetic, lonely guy. And he is friends with this guy named Baruch. And Jeremiah is giving the word of the Lord to Baruch to write down on a scroll. And basically, what this word is saying is that the Lord is going to destroy Israel and Judah. It's going to happen. They're going to be taken into exile. So again, this same message that the Lord is delivering, Jeremiah is trying to give to the kings. So this message is taken on a scroll by Baruch, because I'm assuming at this point Jeremiah is just like, I can't go in there. They're going to try to kill me because they just don't want to hear my message. They're in this denial phase. So Baruch takes the scroll to Jehoiakim and gives him this warning that they need to take it seriously. The Lord is going to bring his judgment. So as this is just so crazy, and I think we've all been there. We're just like, nope, I'm not listening to that denial piece. Baruch is reading the scroll of the word of the Lord. And as he is reading it, Jehoiakim has this little fire pit, I guess you could call it, because it's in the winter months. He's in his winter house. And as the fire pit is kind of just like roaring off to the side, Jehoiakim takes the pieces of the scroll as Baruch is reading it, and just taking pieces of it and throwing it into the fire and casting it into the fire. So by the end, the scroll is completely destroyed. And he says, you know what? Like, get out. This is not true. This is not going to happen. And they actually send men to go and to find Baruch and to find Jeremiah. And what's crazy is that the Lord allows Baruch and Jeremiah to be safe and be hidden. But again, just like so much denial of what the Lord is doing, to the point of actually burning the message of the Lord and trying to take the prophets and the men speaking on behalf of the Lord and try to imprison them because the message is not what they want to hear. I think, how often do we do that, guys, in our normal everyday life? I don't know that we're necessarily chasing down people and trying to hurt them or burn up what the Lord says in his word. But I think there is extreme resistance at times in our lives, depending on the severity of your situation or the depth of your situation, that we are so willing to just push out whatever God is trying to tell us and allow someone else to put something into our lives or fill our ears with things that we want to hear, even though we may have a pretty good inkling or feeling that what we want and what we want to hear is not actually what we need and what the Lord desires. So that's just a crazy, interesting order of events with all of this denial of what the Lord is saying to the people. So finally, chapter 37, we have Jeremiah going to Benjamin. So he's moving to Benjamin. And when he gets to the gate of Benjamin, there's been a lot of forces that have been moving throughout Israel and Judah, namely the Egyptians and the Chaldeans. And when he arrives at the gate, Jeremiah is imprisoned because people think that he is trying to flee from these forces or to join the Chaldeans even. And so he is put into prison when he arrives at the gate of Benjamin. And Zedekiah is reigning. He was put in place to reign over Judah because the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, had appointed him to be the king instead of Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim. Anyway, that being said, when he is appointed king, he actually hears that Jeremiah has been imprisoned. And he says, hey, bring Jeremiah to me. I want him to come and give me the word of the Lord. And I don't know if this was like totally done in secret or what. It seems like it may have been. But when he comes to speak to Zedekiah, again, Jeremiah is like, you want the word of the Lord? Here it is. And if you look in verse 37:17, he straight up just says, again. He sent him secretly to be questioned in his house. And he said, is there any word from the Lord? Jeremiah says, there is. He said, he shall be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon. So Jeremiah, at this point, we've seen him through so many emotions. I feel like at this point, he's probably like, guys, the word of the Lord has not changed. You are going to be taken over. You are going to be put into exile. Listen to the word of the Lord. So this is kind of crazy. And at this point, Jeremiah is also just like, please don't put me back in prison again. Like, what have I done to you? All I'm doing is telling you what God said. So he is not put back into prison again, but he is put into the court of the guard while he remains here at the gate of Benjamin, or in Benjamin. So just again, this crazy turn of events where I guess nothing new is necessarily happening with the people that are hearing the word of the Lord through Jeremiah. However, there is this crazy moment where Jeremiah just kind of, in my opinion, is unleashing. He's just like, hey, you threw me in prison. Seriously, like, the message of the Lord hasn't changed. You have to turn your hearts. And I think that's a perfect your part for today as well. there are so many things that, again, like I said earlier, we can so easily just reject what the Lord has said. We can reject what the Lord is saying through others into our lives. We can reject what the Lord is saying to us through his word. And what is important is that we don't become like the people of Israel. We don't become like the kings who hear and hear and hear and consistently reject. So I would encourage you today, listen for the word of the Lord through what he is speaking to you through his word, through the Bible, what he is speaking to you through your prayers with him, your prayer life with the Lord. Listen to what he is saying through the power of other people and their testimonies and what they could be speaking to you through his word as well. And be careful not to reject what the Lord has for you because maybe you want to fill it with something of your own desires. So thanks for joining me today. We'll be back again for some more of Jeremiah tomorrow. We can't wait to learn more about this story together. See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to God's Plan, Your Part. If anything stuck out to you, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to receive a Bible, you can email us at godsplанyourpart@gmail.com. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us through the link in our description. We love that you're on this journey with us, and we hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.